Good afternoon. So we'll start with our psychology, and as we had covered from the block 1, you all know that block 1, in which introduction chapter is there, which we have covered comprehensively. Then we were covering methods of psychology, and along with that we'll cover research methods, these two from paper 1 P1, and then we'll cover from paper 2 the psychological measurement of individual differences, under which comes your psychological tests. The idea which we are using here is your prepare through tests and prepare through questions, PTT and PTQs, through which we are covering not only the most fundamental, the most important aspects of psychology as far as UPSC preparation goes, but we are also covering the way in which we have to deal these questions. So as we will have 5 questions out of 8 questions prepared, completely prepared, so that you end up scoring really well in the examination. This is the basic approach which we are following. Because see, there is not much of length and breadth, but if you ask me where do most people go wrong is because of the length of the syllabus, the vastness of the syllabus, and the thing is that how it is covered. Like the focus on PYQs is not there, the focus on sticking to your syllabus is not there. The idea is that everything has to be given in an elaborate manner, comprehensive manner, but it should not be made so lengthy so that you cannot cover it, you cannot understand it, you cannot see the connections, the interlinkages, you cannot revise in the time frame in which it is required to be done. That only restricts you from the scores of 300 plus, which we are trying to solve here. Okay, now we'll move to our portions which we were covering earlier. Is that we had covered our survey as a method, the survey, the positives, negatives, what all are there. Now comes your observation. After survey comes your observation. As you know, there can be naturalistic, observation, which is generally preferred, because as we understand, as we progress through the science of psychology, we have understood that it is not ethical, neither efficient to conduct experimental design, and sometimes it is restrictive also to follow the experimental design ED. Why it is difficult? Because see, when you follow experimental design, controlled experiments, then there is to a large extent a causal relationship between IV and DV, independent variable and dependent variable. We try to control effectively external variable. We try to ignore the CV, confounding variable, the variables which may have certain effects on DV but which is not the point of our research. Whatever is point of our research is restricted to IVDV, and whatever can be under the control and influence of the researcher, that is EV, external variable. But it is not possible, humanly impossible, to conduct each and every experiment in this experimental design manner as far as social sciences, behavioral sciences like psychology are concerned. Then comes your restriction of time, because there are certain events which have already occurred. So what will you say for the PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, which was there because of the earthquake or tsunami in a certain area, after which The local people living there were found to have this PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. So can we control the stress, manipulate the external variable? Can we have any IV-DV relationship here? The answer is no. So though our effort is to reach to a causal relationship, it is not possible to conduct and have an experiment here. So what we will do, we will follow our non-experimental design, NED, where there is no IV manipulation is not possible, DV measurement objectively is also not possible, and there is no point of even considering EV. So how will you control it? So these things are not there. What we can do, follow non-experimental design, and under the non-experimental design only these studies are done, like observation, as which comes under descriptive research. Descriptive research, under which what happens, the observer who may or may not be a participant, like in the observation, naturalistic observation, we as a researcher will observe whatever is happening in detail, describe it. That's why it is called descriptive research. So it can be a participant observation or non-participant. What happens in participant observation? You become part of the research group. That is, suppose a village is there where the local people staying in the village have suffered through the PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and we are observing their behavior by being part of that village fraternity. This is participant. Or there can be non-participant, the people who are observing it, the researcher who are not part of the research, they are observing it from the fringe. They are not participating in it. They are non-participant. This is the major difference. According to the convenience of the researcher, either the participant approach or the non-participant approach is followed. What are the merits of participant and non-participant? In the participant approach, you are part of the research, so that is why you see, you can have a holistic understanding of it. But since you are part of the research group, you will carry your biases that will affect your study. The major difference is this, not much of the differences. Now what? As we see, the NED, non-experimental design, is followed in most of the researches. Apart from that, another part, another factor, another design which is used, quasi-experimental, quasi as we say, quasi or quasi. Quasi-experimental research or quasi-experimental design. These are same, both of them are same. So what happens here is the EV manipulation is not done. You know why it is not done? Why it is not possible? Because the randomization, what happens in randomization? This is your experimental group. This is the control group. The participants, the subjects are 100. There are 100 students upon whom the study of special skill program. Suppose a group of students belonging to disadvantaged section, they are given special training, special skill training, and the effect of the special skill training is seen. Now what does the researcher do? They will divide them into a group of 50 and 50 each. Now this division is done randomly, randomization, which is the foremost principle of your conducting experimental research. But what happens in quasi-experimental design, QED, this randomization is not possible. And since this randomization is not possible, the control of EV is negligible. That is why, since the control of EV is not there, external variable is not possible. It is not possible to restrict the external variable. That is why it is important that we follow QED and try to reach to near causal relationship. Although it is not possible to have causal relationship, inferences can be made. Most of the researches in psychology are either NED, non-experimental design, or non-experimental research, or QED. NER, QER. Fine, this is how it is done. Now, we are discussing observation. Under the observation, you have understood the basic idea of observation. Either you can be participant or a non-participant in a naturalistic setting. You are seeing the phenomena, how it is unfolding for ensuring a descriptive research. Fine. So let's see what are the positives, the merits of it. What are the merits? Of observation? First thing is that when you are observing it, you are analyzing the behavior of people who are involved in the research in a detailed manner. You are not only getting quantity but quality of the behavior. You understand the attitude, opinion, and belief of the participants. That is why this data becomes rich. Rich and qualitative data is rich and qualitative, which is the foremost principle if we are doing any of the qualitative research. If you are interviewing a person, what is the idea? Why diverse questions are asked? Even in the personality test of UPSC, diverse questions are asked because they want to analyze your personality by focusing on different areas, understanding your knowledge, understanding your attitude regarding different things. There may be a possibility, if they ask questions from a particular area, there is a possibility that there will be biases. You may be very well prepared in that area, but other parts of your personality don't reflect any holistic approach. Possible? Yes, it is very much possible. That is why rich data, qualitative data is important, which is there in the observation. Because you are when an observer is there, when a researcher observes a group of participants, this researcher will try to analyze the situation in a 360-degree manner. That's why rich and qualitative data is achieved. Second thing, the observation is recorded and analyzed. See, there are two things. One is recording the data and analysis. Once you have the record of all this, like your PYQs are there, take simple example for UPSC purpose. There are PYQs. It is available on internet in form of PDF for last 15 years. I'm talking in the perspective of prelims examination because see, at the end of the day, this is a competitive examination. You have to understand, you have to crack the exam. So whatever comes handy in cracking the exam, strategizing is important. So recording the data, then after you have recorded the data, you analyze the data. So data is recorded and analyzed. You get not only a factual analysis but a analytical point of view. Not only the facts are there, it is analyzed also, and that too in a format of record, so that you can visit the record and reframe your point of view. These two are the most important aspects when we talk about the observation method. But what is the demerit here? You can have 8 points from these points itself, but there is no critical thing which you will achieve. There is no positivity you will achieve by elongating, expressing these things, these points in different words. Just get 2-3 points, remember them, understand the essence, you'll be able to write the answers. And the basic challenge why people don't score is that they are not able to comprehensively answer all the questions, because see, in GS you can leave 2, 3, 4, 5 questions, but in your optionals it is not at all prescribed, not at all advisable to leave even a single question. You have to attempt all the questions, give 4 5 points about each and every question, present your answers in the beautiful handwriting and with diagrams and flowcharts. I have been evaluating your scripts of your tests. So I see that many of you have presented the things really well. As far as quantitative idea, that is the content is concerned, that is with most of you. But how you present is, and how you are able to cover the whole syllabus, how you will be able to answer well in the examination. That's why I say, if they ask you 5 questions out of 8, at least 4.5 questions should be very well prepared. You just need to jot down the points there, and that is possible only if you do the PYQ analysis, only if you do the syllabus analysis, only if you remember 3-4 points about each and every topic and ensure interlinkages. If you just go deep, and that's unnecessary, going deep into the concepts is always advisable, but then you have to apply it to other parts. That is where the main problem is. Most people are missing on that. So these are the merits. Let's see the demerits. What are the demerits? The demerit is, first and foremost, the observers who are observing the phenomena, their expectancies, their expectations in form of demand characteristics, experimental bias, these both will be there. So we can simply jot down, we can simply say observers expectations affect the result. Because see, you yourself are a researcher, you are part of the group which is under the study. Whatever happens there, you will always interpret it in a positive manner. Once you interpret in a positive manner, so that you can reach to certain conclusions, certain hypothesis, whatever hypothesis you have created, whatever is the theme running in your mind, you will try to somehow justify that. What happens in prelims? You write your prelims, you evaluate your answers from one answer key from a particular coaching, then you evaluate from another coaching. Whatever are positives in both the coachings, you take as positives, but you don't take the negatives from both these coachings. So what happens? You may think that your score is 116, but you end up getting 84 when the UPSC answer key comes. The basic idea is, go and do that thorough research about each and every question, zoom down to the answer key which is rational. Then if some questions you have found as correct in one of the answer keys and the same questions are wrong from another answer key, you should not add them. So that you also remain rational in your approach. So observers' expectations affect the result. This is one demerit. What is the second demerit? Again, because of this observation behavior, causal inference, which is actually the prime goal, can't be reached. Firstly, the causal inference can't be reached. Secondly, the causal inference can't be reached objectively, because we don't have this relation, IVD relation. These are the points. Now, what to do with these points? You understand these points, remember these points, memorize, expand, apply these points. Where whatever experiments you have studied till now, just apply these points into those experiments. You will realize that not only you have understood the application, you have also understood how to cut short, how to cut down on the volume of the content. Then comes your another method which is important is your case study. What happens in case study and who is the master when we talk about the psychological case studies? The one and only Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud's most of the studies are done primarily based on your case study method. Whether it is the study of hysteria of Anna O. Some people say that Anna O was a subject who was actually his daughter, Anna Freud. So, hysteria of Anna O, or if you remember the memory chapter, the memory loss of the HM. Anterograde and retrograde amnesia. The case studies were done regarding this on HM. So these case study, what is unique here? Case study is done on a particular subject. A particular subject undergoes the case study. Suppose HM. Thorough and detailed case study. Thorough and detailed understanding of how HM is not able to form new memories. We understand that the information cannot be transferred from STM to LTM. This transference is not happening. Why? Because of the damage of hippocampus. What is happening here? We understand it from a cognitive point of view when we are talking about STM and LTM. We are talking from the biological point of view when we refer to hippocampus. We also understand that HM was undergoing or had undergone as surgery to treat his epilepsy. So a holistic analysis of HM is done. Daily, some people go there and crack the same joke, and we realize that HM is laughing at the same joke every time somebody cracks the joke. Same joke. What does it mean? New memories are not being formed. But we also see that the generic episodic memory of HM remains intact. You see, the analysis of HM is being done from different angles. Like Sigmund Freud did the study of NO. Psychoanalytic study, a peep into unconscious, the subconscious mind, which later on revealed a probable theory of personality, a probable theory of repression. Repression and structure of personality. These two things. You see, the analysis of NO is being done in such a manner that it is holistic, giving various perspectives. Not only psychoanalytic, biological, cognitive, behavioral, all these analyses are being done. Primarily focus on psychoanalytic study. Sigmund Freud did the study from a perspective of psychoanalysis, but the data revealed or the data caught in the study led to various other perspectives as well. The socio-cultural aspects, which were later on formulated by Neo-Freudians, Horney and Sullivan. Neo-Freudian approach. These all are subsumed in one case study of NAO. This is case study. What are the merits of using the case study? As we have already understood that unique and detailed insights are achieved. When we do the case study, unique and detailed insights or in-depth insights are achieved. One thing, you see the nature of the study. As we were talking about the observation, same goes true for a case study also. Rich, complex, qualitative data is achieved. Rich, complex, qualitative data is achieved. How rich we have understood from various dimensions. Of course, it's complex. When we do the case study, the data is not easy to interpret. It's not like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. You see, psychoanalytic approach, the behavioral approach, the socio-cultural approach, biological approach. This data is largely qualitative, not quantitative, because we are generally, if suppose the study of NAO or HM, it reveals to theorization. In the case of NAO, revealed the theorization of repression, the theory of repression and structure of personality. In case of HM, it led to the memory loss theory, amnesia. Interrogate amnesia here. Okay, so these are the merits. Again, not giving you so many merits and demerits, but primarily these are the two merits. What are the demerits here? One demerit of survey, observation, case study, which all will be there. Again, no causal inference can be made. No cause and effect inference can be made. To a large extent, cause and effect inference is possible only in the experimental design. That too cannot be absolute because it's not a natural science. In terms of behavioral sciences, we cannot say that 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That is only with the physical sciences. Relatively objective analysis of IVDV relationship, cause and effect relationship can be achieved through your experimental design. But survey, observation, case study cannot give you cause and effect relationship between IV and DV. Now, what else is there? Case studies are unique, ethnocentric, idiosyncratic. What does it mean? Ethnocentric means from a particular culture. Idiosyncratic means from a particular person's point of view. Idiosyncrasies, as we say. Because it is idiosyncratic in its approach, because it is ethnocentric in its approach, we cannot have a healthy generalization, which is the primary goal of psychology. Generalization is not possible. Demerit, generalization not possible. What else? Since the generalization is not possible, we cannot have any particular hypothesis also. That is why the study done here is largely subjective. What is our goal? Our goal is to conduct objective studies so that we reach relatively permanent objective cause and effect relationship between IV and DV. These are the major demerits of case study method. Now, in your syllabus, and as I have gone through the questions of last 20 years, especially, what is mentioned apart from what we have covered now till now are your experimental design, non-experimental design and quasi-experimental design. Now, how much to know in these? Even if you remember the fundamentals which we have done till now, IV, TV and EV. These three factors, then your randomization, and replication. The two principles, randomization and replication, given by R. A. Fisher, to ensure that our studies in psychology are largely scientific in its approach. So whatever question comes or whatever framework of your this particular chapter is, it will revolve around, hover around this IV, DV, independent variable, dependent variable, external variable and randomization replication. We understand that in the experimental design, what is there? A hypothesis is there, a tentative assumption regarding the relationship between IV and DV is there, and researcher tries to prove that this null hypothesis is wrong and rejected. Once the null hypothesis, which is opposite of the hypothesis which we actually want to prove, is rejected, suppose HO is rejected, null hypothesis. What does it say? It says that alternate hypothesis is correct. What does it also say? Is that the hypothesis with which we started our research is actually correct. So, what is the primary goal of experimental design? To establish a cause and effect relationship between IV, DV. independent variable and dependent variable. Dependent variable is largely, generally dependent on independent variable, the manipulation of which brings remarkable changes in dependent variable. To ensure that there is IVDV, objective cause and effect relationship, the EV, the external variable, is effectively controlled. And this is experimental design, experimental research. Now we come to another type of research or design, which is there: ED, NED, QED, which we have seen. Most of the researches are done for NED and QED, whereas in NED, IVDV, EV, all of them are not existent. In terms of QED, quasi-experimental design, which is the hallmark, the backbone of most of the behavioral science researchers, randomization is not possible. That is why it is not possible to control effectively the EV, external variable. So, with this framework in mind, if there comes a 10 marker comparing these, you can easily do. There is not much of rocket science here, but the major challenge lies in you must remember these. And the rote memorization will not help. Understanding the issues here. After the ED, NED, QED comparison, we have another set of topics which are what are these three? The first one is your focus group discussion, second one brainstorming, third one grounded theory approach. These three also will cover, but after taking a short break of 15 minutes. So it is 4:10 now. Another link will be sent to you all, and we'll start at 4:25. But we'll cover these things so that our methods of psychology are done. Then we'll start with the research methods. One more thing I wanted to update is that earlier we had thought of conducting the classes on alternate day, but now that is not going to help, because the classes should be wrapped up so that you can revise well and prepare well for your 2025 attempt. Most of you are in that bracket of 2025. And our next batch from June to September will be your last batches with me, because after that I have to focus on my Masters and PhD in the neuroscience of psychology, cognitive neuroscience. So I'll be focusing on that. But you all, whoever has enrolled here from advance for 2025, as far as that June batch of Troika 1000 psychology essay ethics is concerned, and the psychology class will start from March 21st. That all will be finished. After that only, after taking a break, I'll leave for abroad. So we'll gather at 4:25. I'll send you all another link. Thank you very much.